This is the Fight Fan with your host, Pete Hoffman, and we're being joined right now by Flyweight Andrea Lee. How you doing? And congratulations on the fight that was just announced.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
yeah, no, that's a fantastic fight. Now, listen, I'm still waiting for the moment that you get to fight Valentina Shevchenko. I
No,
still
no,
think that's gonna happen, but Antonina is still a good fight for you. So,
oh, yeah.
so give me a little taste of what we can expect in this fight.
Well, she's such a great striker, and I'm known for striking too. So I believe that it's a good matchup in that sense. But I also know that her, I guess, wrestling and takedown defense and grappling is uh, her weaker point in MMA. I'm not saying that she's not gotten better, because she has. She most certainly has, and we all continue to get better even with each fight, even like through our losses. Our losses are what make us better, And she lost because of, like she lost to Roxanne because Roxy got to take her down multiple times during that fight, and she's been taken down in a couple of fights. So I feel like she's definitely been working on that, but I would still say that her weakness is probably her ground game. And so, I just think that you can expect, I'm going to go in there and try to make it easy on myself. And if that's the way that it's got to be done, then that's the way it's got to be done,
Listen, Andrea, I love your fights. I love I always consider you as like the Donald Cerrone of the flyweights. Personally speaking, I love your style. I feel like you're game ready. You'll fight anybody, which is great. What? How do you think you can? Your last three opponents that you've lost to,
Yeah.
what do you think? I feel like you can go in there and win a decision or win another fight if you had a rematch. How do you feel about that? What have you learned from those fights?
Well, I've learned a lot, and I just feel like somewhere in those fights, I just kind of started to, I guess, forget who I was in a sense. Because if you watch me in Invicta and Legacy, it's like I go out there and I'm like, I just try to get a finish. And most times, that doesn't end up happening, but in a few cases, I have, but it's like, I don't fight to just get by with a decision. It's like, I really want to finish somebody. I want to hurt somebody. And I think like being in the UFC, it kind of gets in your head where it's like, oh, I got to win this fight. I got to be safe. And I think that that's kind of like probably messed with me a little bit. I would say with Joanne Calderwood, there was a few elements, with going into that fight, and I'm not like trying to make excuses. I just feel like, man, it was so hot in there. And I was like, after the first round, I'm like, man, why am I so tired? I just feel so exhausted, and then I just ended up doing stupid stuff. I kept shooting for takedowns, which I'm not like the type of person who likes to charge in and try to get takedowns. Like I like to set my stuff up, especially like in the clinch. But man, I feel like, the heat might have been like messing with my brain, and I was just doing stupid stuff. And I was trying to force these takedowns when I was doing fine on my feet too. But then my fight with Lauren Murphy, I feel good about that fight. I think that if I had maybe defended those few takedowns, I would have gotten the win. And I know that I did get up immediately after she took me down, and the fight was a very competitive fight on the feet. I think that it was a fun, gritty fight. I really enjoyed that. I still think that I won that fight, but the judges thought differently. So I don't feel badly about that fight. I feel like I was there. I was in the fight, and that was a great one. My loss to Roxy, I just felt like I had like an out of body experience. I feel like I guess I gave her too much credit, and I was more focused on what she was good at because she already beat me once before. So maybe I felt like she had my number, and I just didn't fight as well as I should have, so I've got a little regrets on that. I've been beating myself up about it because, I let I let this like mess me up.
Well, don't let it get to you, because I still love watching you fight, and I still think that you're definitely one of the best in the division. Like as I was saying, like I waiting for that Valentina Shevchenko. I'm waiting for your title shot. It's gonna happen. I can feel it, especially think about the losing to Calderwood, losing to to Murphy, they're in line for a title chance too. So it's not like that's who we're talking about. The level that you're at. You're right. You're right there. So I listen. It happens, but explain to me, why do you think you have those type of like experiences where you're in the cage and it's like outer body experience, or something just doesn't click the right way and it's too hot and something else distracts you? Does that happen to normally in other fights, or just something else would distract you that day?
Well, the heat in Abu Dhabi was insane. That was different. It was, I mean, they had just put the roof on that week. The AC had just gotten turned on like a few days before the fight. They said it really needed a week to cool the whole place down. I wasn't the only one sweating. My corner was drenched in sweat. They said it was so hot just sitting by the cage, because then you also have the lights like beaming down on us. And with the adrenaline going, I didn't really think or feel that, but I did feel exhausted literally right after the first round. I was like, man, I feel so tired. And I just remember thinking that, going back to my corner, I'm like, why do I feel so tired? Did I not push myself enough in my camp? I'm like, I know I did. My cardio was great, but I was just dying. But no, so most of the time I wouldn't say that like heat, normally ever gets to me in any of the fights, but having sometimes mentally, I feel like that does happen sometimes. Even in the fights that I have won, sometimes I feel like I'm just out of it. But it takes me a little bit sometimes to like get my mind back in the game.
What about fans? What about fans? Like, because you're like your next fight May 15th. Hopefully by then you'll be able to have some fans. Do they add, subtract to what's in the cage?
I think they add to it. But in a good way and sometimes in a bad way, because I think sometimes when there's a lot of things going on in a fight that fans don't really understand. They're just, some of them are just fans and they just love to watch it, but they don't participate or compete or do anything like that. So there are some instances where, you feel like maybe the fight's getting a little boring or too boring for you. I mean, if you go like a couple of seconds without throwing anything, fans are going to start booing.
I know. We definitely suck at times. I've been there before. We're terrible. It's just, and I think it's the crazy thing is, Andrea, like I've watched some of these fights. Like you think about like a Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Thompson, right? Stephen Thompson. It was not the first time they fought. 5 rounds. I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time, but people were like, oh, this is so boring. But like it was like a chess match. That's what it is.
I was just about to say that. And when you play chess, sometimes, I mean, unless you're competing in chess, you only have you have time. If you're not competing, let's say, if I'm competing in chess, or if I'm having a chess match with somebody, and it's not like obviously not competition level, I'm sitting there thinking for like ever. I'm like, man, I want to think about their moves, and I'm thinking about my move, and I'm thinking about the next move, and I'm like, if I do this and they're going to do that, okay, I got to be ready for that. And really that's what it is in a fight. You're analyzing everything. And so, yeah, fans can it can be good and it can be bad. Cause for me, it's like, if I start getting booed, I'm like, man, I need to do something. The fans are here to watch us fight, put on a show. I want to be entertaining. I got to do something. And sometimes, that kind of like, you get in a hurry and then you end up in a bad position and, tables turn. And so like, I'm saying it could be good and bad. Sometimes I can feel the energy from the crowd, and it fuels me. It fuels me either way. If I'm getting booed, if I'm not getting booed, but like it can fuel me in a way that like, okay, I need to hurry up and do something, and then I'm not thinking clearly, and then I end up doing something stupid.
We watched. I don't know if you caught the fights. I'm sure you did. UFC 259 this past weekend. You watched. Oh, you did? Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard about it though. Am I right?
I did hear.
Okay. So Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson, fight didn't last very long, but coming from another Invicta background, Megan Anderson, I was expecting to see a little bit more, but I'm not sure if she froze up, if she didn't look top of her game. And now again, Amanda Nunes is just at a different level.
Yeah.
But, is it something where the elite fighters that like the champions, like it's a different type of, because you've been a champion before, so in other leagues and other promotions. So having
Yeah.
the belt, do you feel that, or fighting for that championship, does it feel different going up for that moment?
Well, I mean, that's a fighting for a UFC title. I mean, that's a big deal. And she's going up against Amanda Nunes, who's beat so many incredible great athletes already. It's like, it is very scary. It's very nerve wracking. She's a champion in 2 divisions, and I think that maybe Megan definitely probably like coming out had obviously a lot on her mind, and maybe she just wasn't completely there. I can see why if she had a lot of nerves, I can see why she would, and it's understandable. I mean, you're fighting for a title, and you feel like you have to prove to everyone, that you can be the champion, and you don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to let your team down. You don't want to let your family or your friends, your fans, everybody that believes in you down. It's just a lot of weight to have on your shoulders. And I think, if I was to face Valentina, I mean, I would probably feel the same way, but at the same time, that's just where you have to kind of try to make yourself look at it like it's just another fight. It's just another human being, and they can be beat, and you just have to find the keys to beat them.
What makes Valentina so good, out of curiosity? Because she really is like a different force in there. And I really think that the only challenge for an Amanda Nunes, for example, is a Valentina Shevchenko. I think she could really, she's competed twice with her already. We saw, I think, the second fight, to be honest with you, was too close. I think she could have won. It was, arguably could have gone either way. But what makes Valentina Shevchenko so good?
I think she's been doing it so long, and just she can see everything. I mean, she's a high level judo practitioner. I mean, she's good on the ground, and she's proved that too. I mean, she's a good mixed martial artist, but her striking is supreme. I mean, she's so good at countering everything. I believe she just sees everything that you're going to do before you do it. And she's southpaw. I mean, she's a really good southpaw. So, I mean, you're not just fighting just some southpaw. You're fighting a freaking high level. I mean, there's levels to this, and she's at the top, and I think that that's just kind of what sets her apart. I mean, she lives it and she breathes it, and she doesn't have any other distractions in her life. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't have a husband or boyfriend or anything like that I know of. It's just like she eats,
She
sleeps,
doesn't. She does not, which is crazy. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. You and Andrew, listen. You've it's International Women's Month, so it's something that it is special. So explain to us, like, what this type of having a life, and then fighting on the as well. How is it to balance both?
I feel like I'm constantly trying to figure out how to balance both, and it's a never ending. It's never ending, because I want to include Ainsley so much, but I can't take her with me when I go places. And not to mention, she's not really the biggest fan of fights anymore. Like, so for her, she just wants to be home doing her thing, and I respect that. And plus, if I was to bring her with me, it would be a big distraction. And going into camps, like going into this camp, I know that I'm going to be gone for like 8 weeks, maybe a little longer. I don't want to be gone that long, but that makes it hard, being away for so long, because I do have a child, but if I was like Valentina, I mean, I would be all over the world like she is, because she can do that. And I think that's incredible. And that's why I wish I could bring Ainsley with me sometimes, but she has school and she has obligations, and she also has her family, her other family, like her dad and her, her grandmother and her aunt, so I mean, they wouldn't want her to be gone off gallivanting, traveling the world with me.
I understand that. I have 2-step kids, so I totally understand, the dynamic between that. Like, you can only take them so far for so long. I get it. It's tough, but you do it and you're successful at it, right?
Yeah, I do. And, we have a week on, week off custody agreement. So the weeks that I have her, I do my trainings in the morning time, which this week I have her. So I do my training in the morning and before she gets out of school and done with her homework. And then on the weeks that I don't have her, then I'm able to train in the late afternoon as well. So I'm able to do the morning and the afternoon.
How was it, by the way? Was it fully, were they in school the whole time? Because my kids are like half and half. They're like, it's like this mix. It's like half remote, half in school.
I know what you're talking about, but for her, she was able to go back to school full time.
That's great. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it is a hassle. I love my kids, don't get me wrong, but to have them home like 3 days out of the week, trying to be like, come on, do the homework, do this, do that. It's a pain. So
well, I mean, school basically is daycare.
yes, it is. It is a nice way of saying that for sure.
Yeah.
Andrea, anything else that you're looking forward to in 2021 for yourself? Obviously, you have this fight with Antonina coming up, which is very exciting. Again, but how many times would you like to fight in 2021?
I want to have this fight, and I want to go out there and as I have no injuries after the fight, I would like to turn around and fight again, honestly. Heal up and then turn around and fight again. Because it's like I feel like I want to play catch up because, I wanted to fight in December and I didn't get to. And then I wanted to fight before May, March or April would have been good. But, I'm fighting in May. So it's like I would like to turn around and fight again as soon as I possibly can because I'm still going to be in really good fight shape and I'll be ready for that. And, I would like to fight at least 3 to 4 times, before the end of the year. And I like to squeeze as much in as I can. I want to get back on track. I want to get these wins and just fight. I want to prove why, I still belong. I mean, Dana's making cuts and I don't want to be one of them.
Listen, I still think that you're one of the best in the division for sure. So I think that you're right there at the title. I still believe that you're going to fight for a title very soon. So I'm excited for that.
Well, you know what? I just want to say, before cutting you off, I really appreciate you saying that. I've interviewed with some other people and they're, they say things like, well, how does it feel? You were an up and coming prospect, but now it's like you have these losses and does it feel like, do you feel like you're going to get cut? And how do you feel? You know what I mean? So it's like, why would you even put that in my head right now? I'm like, don't ask me.
No. First of all, Andrea, people are dumb. All right. That's the first thing you have to remember. Okay. It doesn't make a difference who they are. They're always trying to hit for hard hitting questions and get something out of you. Listen, to be fair, I still think that you're I'm not kissing your ass. I just think you're one of the best in the division. And I've seen your fights and I understand what you're talking about I understand now where you're coming from with those previous 3 fights, but I still think that you could compete with anybody in the division. And I'm looking forward to this Shevchenko fight followed by another Shevchenko fight. Cause I truly believe that's the next in line. But, and I do understand that too, because I'm actually, I now that you bring this up, what is one thing that does bother you? Cause people make picks all the time. I make picks on every single fight. Does it bother you if you see somebody pick against you? Does that really turn you off? F them. I hate this person right now. Give me that insight from you.
No, I don't get that way. I mean, I'm like, well, I'm just going to prove you wrong. It just kind of makes me smile. That's all. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove you wrong. And it just kind of, is a little fuel to the fire. That's about it. People have opinions and they're welcome to them, I mean, that's life. I mean, everybody, is welcome to their own opinion. And if they don't think that if they don't pick me to win, I mean, that's fine. That's okay. It's not that big of a deal to me. I mean, I see people, I see things that people write on social media all the time, but I don't let it get to me. I mean, people are going to be for you, people are going to be against you. And that's just the way it is.
And it's tough because, listen, the name of the podcast is Fight Fan. I'm not a real, I don't want to say I'm not an analyst because I love MMA. I've been following forever and I'm as close to this as possible, but I'm a radio guy. So we talk a lot. And sometimes we're overly critical of people. I'm overly critical of Megan Anderson and I'm a big fan of hers. But maybe that's why I'm overly critical. So it's not something that we're trying to be really insulting at all. But I can understand why if she ever heard me talk about her, she'd be pissed at me. She'd hate me. But it's not.
She'd probably block you.
yes, I wouldn't be surprised. But right now she does not block me. But she also doesn't answer my text either anymore. So there goes that.
Well, Well, with Megan, I mean, your thing is you expect more, you know, and you really, I mean, you probably expected her to be more in the fight than she was, and she probably had like a head, like her mind wasn't there, you know, and that's just she had a lapse, and that's what happened. Her brain was foggy, and you know these things happen. But I mean, as a fan, I mean, you kind of you expect more out of fighters that you I mean, I'm sure you expected more out of my Roxanne fight. You know what I mean? I know so many people that did. My boyfriend was disappointed in me. He even told me, he was like, "Man, I just expected a lot more out of you." You know what I mean? That's when people believe in you, they expect more in you. You know, and so I mean, it's understandable. You know.
When you do lose a fight, though, what's worse? Is it more about you know, your inner, like I let myself down, or that you let other people around you down?
It's both. It is both, but a lot of it, I think, for me, it's like letting other people down, especially those that like expect more from me. Um, Before, like, you know, when I was married, like I was more worried about like I can take a loss, you know. I show, I mean, like I can take it. It hurts me, yeah, it makes me upset or whatever, but I did not want to let down like my coaches, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like I really they put so much into you, you know, and it's like I really just don't want to let them down, and that's how we feel. That's how a lot of the fighters feel, I think. But in the end, I mean, yeah, we're letting ourselves down when we lose, you know.
Well, listen, you'll make it up by winning your next fight, beating
Yeah.
Shevchenko, and I'm all for that. So, anything else before I let you go? Because I thank you so much. You've been very, very generous with your time, but and I know you're making dinner right now or lunch, whatever it is. I know that there's a time difference, but anything
Okay.
you want to promote?
Um, well, I mean, I do have a website, AndreaLeeMMA.com. I'm working on getting a clothing brand, so I don't have that yet, but I do have signed posters, signed calendars, and I have some pictures and some signed tops parts that I'm going to be putting up here lately or later. So if anybody's interested in those, you know, I also have sponsors, Victory Beef, Punch Gunk, Healing Panda, which is a CBD company. Um, and I have some more sponsors that are coming on, but I don't know. I'll wait. I'll wait and give them shout outs, you know, once they're fully on board.
Rock and roll. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. You've been very generous, and I'm looking forward to the fight May 15th for Antonina Shevchenko. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.